We've got another Trustless Degens podcast, Alfalfa. Your boy Smurf, accompanied by Lance, aka the Infinite, and Rex Satoshi here. Rex Satoshi, of course, a regular host here, and Lance here. This is his first time joining us for one of these podcasts, so welcome, Alfalfa. Yeah, this is the podcast where we talk about all things Web3, DeFi, crypto. Insert buzzword here. That's how we kind of like to describe it. It's macro topic. It's micro topics. It's a platform for us to get together with our friends and talk, and people that are like-minded and understand cryptocurrency, and actually get to talk about those things because Lord knows we annoy the hell out of our partners. So yeah, that's what this platform is made for. Yeah, my girl can't stand it, I'm sure. But at the same time, she's really educated on a lot of this stuff, and she sounds a lot smarter than her friends whenever she's talking about finance now. So other than just being a smarty anyways.
So but yeah, rubbing off on her, huh?
Been rubbing off on her a little bit. So she had these people over at the house a few days ago, and she was like telling them these things. They're like, oh, making this much, and she's like, yeah, well, if you want like safe returns, you can still get like 20 to 30% on like stable coins. And I was like, okay, babe. They're like, stable coins. Stable coins, what's that? She's like, oh, well, you just like, if you want Ethereum or this. I was like, listen to you. I done taught her well. But yeah, we're talking about all these things today. So we got a bunch of fun topics. Basically, if you were out of the loop in the last week in crypto or DeFi, you can tune into this boy here, and you can get caught up pretty quickly. We won't cover everything. We're going to cover a lot of things from gaming, again, DeFi, macro topics, just trading tokens. All sorts of goods. Yeah. And today we got a starter topic for you guys. Let me actually prepare this window. And our starter topic today is a buzz. It's like a buzzword. I figured it's been going around in crypto lately. It's Aptos. Which I actually did not have enough time to look up everything. I saw a lot of people's opinions on Aptos, but did not have much time. I was sick for like the last 2 or 3 days, and so I didn't have enough time to look up Aptos as much as I'd like. And for anybody who's listening and hearing that, yes, you heard that correctly. I did not have enough time to look up Aptos to give it my true, opinion, which is something that a lot of people miss in Web3, crypto, and all this stuff. They just got opinions on stuff and they don't understand any of it. It's like, you should really look that up more. So stop relying on whatever influencer and actually do some digging. Don't be afraid to read a white paper. It's not fancy with pictures, but it gives you the actual information that you need to know to form a true opinion. But yeah, we're gonna look at Aptos today. And if anybody thought that was a little undertoned or something like that, sorry, kinda. Some of y'all really just got bad takes on stuff. But yeah, we got a little Aptos article here, and I believe Rex Satoshi's done a little bit more research on the Aptos. So I'm actually gonna let you handle the Aptos game here for me. But quick summation of what I know about this new token that launched recently, listed on some centralized exchanges, which usually leads to some type of rally for the token. I believe I was hearing that the Aptos token checked out at around $12 high for the token and started to come down, but a lot of people, I think there was also an airdrop for it or something. But yeah, again, I'm going to leave this stuff to Satoshi because I did not have enough time to look into this. And then just general sentiment. The general sentiment of this token across the crypto space was that it's heavily VC backed, so venture capitalist backed, and that everybody was not liking it for these reasons. Now, I don't know if this is a layer 1 token or whatever have you. Again, I'm going to lean on Satoshi a little bit for this, but that's the general sentiment that I've been seeing from people. I don't like it. VC backed, kind of like Solana, I'm still gonna get on Solana eventually, but I'm gonna throw $50 at Solana. Honestly, I still haven't given it my respect. Anyways, enough of me. Satoshi, what can you tell us about this Aptos token? Because this article that I have here doesn't really give me much of anything on it other than a price analysis type of situation.
Aptos is highly anticipated. A lot of people have been waiting for this token to come out for a while. If Aptos is new to you, then you might the origin of Aptos was the Libra project with Facebook. So Facebook started Libra, and then like didn't really work out for them because the regulators were like, no, we don't want to have to compete with something like that, basically. And they were like, no. So Facebook had a bunch of partners on that. They had like PayPal and a whole bunch of people who were like ready to throw down on the Libra project. Well, after it messed up, a bunch of the projects left, and they were like, okay, we're not fucking with this anymore. So Facebook made this. Facebook was talking about doing this thing called Diem, and that was supposed to be a blockchain that they were using to do something, but that also didn't work out. So then Facebook changed their name to Meta, and now a bunch of the people from Meta have left Meta to work on this this Aptos blockchain, which is a layer 1, which is very similar to Solana, which is supposed to be pretty fast. But I'm going to share the Explorer.
And let me make sure you get that in there too.
Um,
Yeah, just notice Aptos says Aptos is a layer 1.
I'm going to show
Sexy.
you the transactions per second, like 26. So when this launched, which was like yesterday, the day before that, the trend was four transactions per second. So that's not a lot at all. Like that's not fast. That's not more than Bitcoin. Like that's not fast at all. So at 24 per second, I don't even know exactly what Bitcoin's transaction time is per second, but I would assume it's way more than 24.
Interesting.
Anyway, so yeah, it was just weird. It was also weird how the token launched. Like, it's one of those tokens like ITP, Internet Computer, that as soon as it launches, it's going online. It's going on exchanges. And what I seen, I think it was a Binance article about Aptos, and it was let me unshare my screen because I don't want y'all seeing that. Y'all don't need to see it on my screen. So let me find this Binance Aptos. But anyway, like, so all the exchanges basically, like, I'm pretty sure they invested somehow. Binance, FTX, Coinbase, and a bunch of VCs put in a bunch of money. What they have is staked for like a year. Well, yeah, it's like it's held for like a year. They can't sell that, but what they have, what they got is staked, and they can sell the rewards from what's staked. So that's just like a couple red flags people need to see and be interested in. But there is also there are a lot of apps that have been building on Aptos. So they'll have like they have a lot of wallets. They have a couple NFT projects. They have some DeFi stuff. They have some meme tokens. I guess they've been messing around in the test net for a while. And now they have, now it's mainnet. So I would assume those projects are going to have to come on the mainnet. I need to get this graphic real quick. I'll be able to show you.
Yeah. This reminds me of I was reading this article. Well, no, it was a thread on Twitter of a threador, as they like to call them, threador, or all the O's they like to put in these crypto Twitter talk. But they were talking about how well layer 1 blockchains do in bull runs, and it's basically that each bull run, the layer 1, and this has been like the last few bull runs, and so it could be proven differently this time, and people were kind of speculating maybe this time around it'll be layer 2s because all these scaling solutions and stuff like that coming out. But basically each bull run, layer 1s performed extremely well, where any previous layer 1s from the previous cycle would go up by, I think it was like 10x or something like that. Like on average, it was like an average. Like every layer 1 going up at least 10x, which is like you can just throw your money at a wall of like layer 1s, and like they're all going up like an insane amount. That's a pretty good return. So I've been trying to, like hearing that Aptos is layer 1. I'm like, this is not financial advice, of course. Everybody, none of this is Trustless Degens, but I've been stacking up my list of layer ones to pay attention to for bull runs, because if you can throw, $10, $20, $100 at something at a few different layer ones, and that comes back to you tenfold, you did all right. You did all right, Jim. So that's what I'm looking at. I think it's funny they're calling this a Solana killer. I'm sure that's the VC basedness of it.
This over here. Hang on, I have a graphic for y'all. I want y'all to look at. Hang on.
Wonderful.
Okay, here we go. Like so, this is a lot of apps to be like already starting on Aptos. I don't know if I don't know if I can if I can make this bigger.
Yeah, I know these type of graphs, but that just in general.
Can't zoom. But yeah, so they got a bunch of wallets, like some oracles, some NFT shit. So I don't see VCs on here, but dude, all this is a huge ecosystem. I don't like all this DeFi shit, all these NFTs. There's some games right here, some launchpad. So if it was me, I was gonna say, give someone not financial advice, but what I'm gonna do is try to look into some of these the stuff on this list and pick out the stuff that looks good to me, the games or some of the launch pads specifically. I'm sure Smurf will find some DeFi stuff, and you will figure out a way to earn Aptos. You don't want to buy the Aptos necessarily. Now, you might have to get a little bit of it to be able to play around, but you're not going to
facts
throw all your money into Aptos or throw all your crypto into Aptos.
Yeah, that's where people mess up.
Yeah, you want to use the ecosystem and figure out stuff and leave a trail of breadcrumbs so that someone can give you an airdrop. That's the plan here. That's the plan.
Yeah, I always I say it all the time, but like what you just said there is totally key in being successful in crypto or DeFi. It's at the point where you can just utilize tokens that you actually believe in as long-term products. And in terms of what are some long-term products that I might believe in, Smurf? Okay, Bitcoin. Most people don't really think Bitcoin's going away. Ethereum, most people don't really think Ethereum's going away. And a lot of people that like these projects specifically hold them long term. Maybe you have even if you're trading Bitcoin and Ethereum, a lot of time people have a holding of Bitcoin and Ethereum that they're not going to trade for whatever reasons. I'm going to hold that Bitcoin and Ethereum for long term. And so a strategy that I've been employing for over a year now, a few years, is just to hold my some Bitcoin or Ethereum and to pair it up as a liquidity pair. So I have some actually. I'm going to use this ETH and USDC liquidity pair that I've used for over a year. I have not moved it out of that liquidity pair for over a year on Binance Smart Chain. And I paired it together when Ethereum was around, I don't know, $3,000 something. That's when I paired it together. So Ethereum shot up some during this time, and it came down some during this time. Ethereum is currently worth, and it was about one Ethereum worth at the time. Ethereum, and so I put it to use in different farms. And of course, as a new DeFi protocol or farm pops up, as Rex Satoshi was saying, you can make money from those. And one way would be to use what's known as the native token. That would be the Aptos token or whatever other project token is the name is. If it was Farmer Jill application, they would have a Farmer Jill token. And I could probably make 10,000 APY on using the Farmer Jill token in USDC or something like that. Or I could use Ethereum and USDC and probably make 400% APY for a long time on this thing. That's over 1% a day, folks. I probably could take the 1% a day. So that's what I've been doing. I've been taking my ETH and USDC. And again, I paired it up when it was around $3,000. And I just been, whatever farm I throw it in, I'm earning 1% a day, 1% a day, 1% a day. The farm is over in 10 days. Cool. I made 10%. And 10, cool. And if it lasted longer, if it lasted 100 days, I made 100% just off my ETH and USDC. And I've moved it from farm to farm to farm to farm to farm. And I don't care if the price of Ethereum is up or down or in the middle. And the one thing about pairing together tokens like that, ETH and USDC specifically, is that if the price of Ethereum goes down, it protects you from the price dropping some. So the value, in the same way as when the price token goes up, you don't get as much exposure to the rise of the token's price. But in that sense, again, Ethereum is down now $1,200 or something, somewhere around there today, $1,200, $800, $1,280 or something, somewhere around that. And that one Ethereum worth that I paired together a year ago is worth over $2,000. Like, it shielded me, and it's worth more than that one Ethereum is currently worth today. So that's like the value of doing something like that. And I've made money all the time in the background. Sometimes I would put it into straight up Ethereum. Sometimes I would just take the earnings and buy up whatever other token that I wanted to get. Like, oh, I want some Matic, I want some Tron, I want some whatever. I can just buy up tokens consistently. And that's why when people ask me questions like, well, Smurf, how do you buy tokens? How do you get into crypto and this and that? I'm like, I got into crypto like years ago. It's like after you're in DeFi and you understand things, you don't need to keep buying in from the exchange. You can just utilize your assets to just earn for you. Like my tax guy had a brain melt in understanding it. He was like, well, where's the money coming from? Where are you getting the Yeah, you're putting the money in. I'm like, I'm just earning the money, bro. I'm like, it's over a year. So like it's gotta be tax less. It's like it reminded me like that like scene from like a Castaway where they're like, well, what was in it? He's talking about like his casket. It's like, well, what was in it? What did you bury? And it was like, bro, like I don't know what to tell you, man. You got to catch up. But yeah, that's literally just how it feels. So yeah. If I could get any point across to you, it would be that to use tokens that you rely in, try to stay away from native tokens to whatever farm or application or whatever. Like you can use pick a small pool of it or whatever, because I'm not gonna say totally stay away from them, but using tokens that you rely on the most, like that are needed across the board, is the way to go. But yeah, and our little talk on Aptos. Keep looking into it. I didn't know that it had all that to do with DM, and I know that they had transferred it over to like some like bank / hedge fund situation and this and that, and I guess the VCs just did not back off of it. So interesting to see what they're doing there. If they're talking about a Solana killer, I'm happy to see what happens, because Solana been trash. Tons of Solana people are like, don't talk about my token like that. Well, it's maybe don't make it so trash. I don't know. It's been trash. How many times it got to crash in like 2 months? It's a lot. Anyways, moving on.
Well, man, so let's not go on quite yet. So there's another blockchain that so there's a language that they use on Aptos. It's called Move. And there is another layer 1 blockchain that is also using Move that's going to come out a little bit later. So it's going to be competing with Aptos. It's called SUI, SUI. There's a way to earn an airdrop for that. I think you got to like get on the test net and like you use the faucet and get some of the testnet tokens, and you can like use those, play around with them, see whatever's on the block, see whatever's on the testnet, and then you might qualify for an airdrop that way. But
interesting.
I think that that's kind of a good hedge to Aptos. I do not like. So they're saying that this thing's supposed to be able to handle like 100 to 160,000 transactions per second when it's done, like when it's done. But like these games we have out here that people say aren't done yet. We have these blockchains as well that aren't done, so they're gonna have to upgrade them, just like Ethereum's being upgraded. So we'll see. Okay, so it looks like Bitcoin is only doing like 7 transactions per second, something like that.
Let my be, bro.
So now Aptos is doing more per second, but before it was doing 4 transactions per second. And that's shit. So they got their transactions per second up. I don't think that's faster than Solana though.
No, and I mean,
but I digress.
Yeah. I to see how much these like the Solanas and stuff like that. This is my thing with the Solana type tokens and their ability to compete in the transactions per second part of crypto, the Web3, DeFi, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how well they're going to do. Like, I don't think a Solana or an Aptos type thing is going to, especially since they're so VC backed, is going to be able to compete with an Ethereum long term. Even if they compete this year or next year, what are the chances of them competing long term? And my reasons for believing that is that Ethereum is open source, and there's like the biggest brains in the planet are like, oh, I want to work on blockchain. Well, let me go to Ethereum and do so. Or pretty much, that's pretty much just across the case, across the board. Let me work with Solidity. That's the programming language. Let me learn some Solidity and learn about blockchain. But the Cardanos with their vassals and all this any other, it's just not, the chance of them actually keeping up with what these other ones are able to provide. I don't see it happening long term. I think they're going to be struggling to keep up with the scaling solutions that Ethereum is able to provide long term. And the Infinite looks like he's having a little bit of connection problems, but he'll be joining us back here shortly. Can already see him kind of loading back. I don't think you're frozen right now. Is he frozen? He's frozen. Okay.
I can't see him at all.
I can see it, but I was like, he's like looking at the screen. Is he frozen? He's frozen. We'll bring him back in once I see it moving there. There he goes. There he goes. Full bars. Cool. Moving on though. From that, I wanted to briefly show this chart here, which is we show this almost every show. This is the DeFi llama chart. For anybody who's not familiar, yes, names in crypto and DeFi are always weird and related to food or some type of animal. In this case, a llama. But who doesn't love llamas? Alpaca. DeFi llama, where you can get a nice little breakdown of all the stats. I'm really here to show the TVL in DeFi over time. So you see 2020, we were all the way down here, and then we shot up to extreme highs. Was that him dropping again? That was him dropping again. Shot up to extreme highs, and if I were able to pull a chart here, can't really see it quite clear enough, but apparently we are starting to head back up in the upward direction. And I'm just going to pull out like some charting terminology here, like potential charting terminologies, right? Potential terminologies. What would I say on a large scale? What would this look like? On a large scale, this looks kind of like this area right here, up top. So I'm moving my cursor across this little middle gap here. It looks like that. And like, let's just look. It happened here too. It looks like this. This is what this right here looks like. And so you could call this one of two different patterns: either a head and shoulders pattern, which will be a pretty fat head and like pretty thick head right here, and this right here would be a shoulder, this little ledge right here, or Bart Simpson type of pattern, which is like you get like this large drop off, it gets crinkly, and then it goes straight back up. But that's what that looks like to me. It looks like one of these type of valleys forming. And if that happens in DeFi, well then, sheesh, there's a lot of money. But yeah, and that narrative that I just like there kind of goes along with this next article that I wanted to pop open, which is what it says: DeFi TVL finally recovers, and Algorand hits new all-time highs. And I think we got the Infinite. Oh, he's still struggling. He's trying. I'm just gonna keep trying to let him in. But before I go into this article, are you familiar with Algorand? Other hosts? Somebody familiar with Algorand? Anybody?
You said, do I know anything about Algorand?
Yeah. Are you familiar with Algorand? You know anything about Algorand?
No.
No?
Not at all.
Have you heard of Algorand?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
I've heard of it a lot, but I heard they got some entities over there.
They do got some entities.
I haven't heard much else about them.
Yeah, so Algorand, what I know about it.
There's way too many of these other blockchains.
Look, the Sue one that you brought up is like that. Honestly, when you mentioned that, I was like, oh, but that's like the second time on my radar. I like when I hear about something like 3 times, I'm like, okay, you made a note of it. You need to actually go and engage with it, because don't let it become time 4, 5, 6, 7, and you haven't actually done like more deeper research on it. But I had that same type of feeling that what you just kind of iterated when I saw that Sue blockchain thing, which is that when I first heard of it, I was like, oh, it's another blockchain. There's so many of these dang blockchains. Infinite says apologies keeps dropping. But there's so many of these other blockchains, and this one has a weird name. I don't know how serious I want to take it. But yeah, that's not to say that, they're not worth checking out, folks. So yeah, what is Algorand? Algorand is like I would call it an eco-friendly blockchain. I forget if it's just carbon neutral or carbon negative, but it's like that level, like kind of like a wax type of blockchain in that sense, where it's all about the environment. This was my previous research. I believe it's one of like the best blockchains for what you call it, its carbon footprint or whatever. So it's kind of built for those reasons. And let's read a little bit something right here and make sure it's on screen for all of you guys. Yeah, the young proof of stake blockchain Algorand, initially released in 2019, just an all-time high of 275 million, according to DeFi Llama. So we are in the depths of a bear market, and Algorand just hit its all-time high on TVL being locked on this blockchain. A lot of this money is coming in from not retail investors, but VCs. Big money. Follow the big money, they say. The big money is moving funds over to Algorand, and that's really why I wanted to make sure I have this on screen today, because I do like to follow the big money. Like, what are they paying attention to? I hear them talking about Polygon a lot and Algorand. So worth paying attention to then. That was like, if there's anything else that I wanted to make sure, the points for Algorand, it was like, yeah, it's environmentally friendly, supposedly, like as far as the blockchain, it is proof of stake. So everybody knows proof of stake better than proof of work. And then big money is moving stuff over here. And then, yeah, in the depths of a bear market, it's got its all-time high in TVL. Nobody else is doing that right now. Like, maybe you find another blockchain that's hitting its all-time high in TVL locked on the blockchain, but like, that's chances are no. Chances are no. It's kind of crazy that it did this in a bear market. So bringing that up, last week Solana's TVL dropped 12.5% to 1.1 billion due to Mango hack. Oh yeah, the Mango hack.
That shit was so wild.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was about to say, are you following the Mango hack at all? Like,
not super closely, but I've heard some shit that's like, whoa. Like this dude is like, this guy's entertaining.
It was some entertaining stuff. I was gonna share what I know, and then like, yeah, if there's anything else that you like heard or like different stories or conflicting points of view. But like what I had heard was like, initially the hack happens, it was like $100 million or something like that from Mango, and I was like, oh, painful, because I was considering using Mango, honestly. I was like, because like I just told you, a few minutes ago on the show, where I'm like, oh yeah, maybe throw $100 at Solana or something like that. What I had found on Solana that I liked was this perpetuals market on Mango. So I'm like, oh, I could do like leverage trading on Mango. I'm down with that. But yeah, they got hacked for 100 million. And the funny thing was, like, the day that the hack happened, crypto Twitter was like losing their minds and stuff like that. People were saying that, like, they're looking up the hacker and all this stuff. They're like, yo, this guy actually has ENS accounts or names. And so, like, not only is there this wallet that we can track, but then like the wallet actually has names, and the names are like associated with like Twitter accounts and this, and it was just like, it was madness. I feel like the craziest parts that come away from it were not just like that portion of things, like, oh, like that's fine and dandy.
I didn't even hear about that, but that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, isn't it? But like that's fine and dandy. But like I feel like the craziest part was how this was all resolved, which was that initially the hacker was saying that they wanted $70 million from the treasury to be like to pay back debts from Mango Markets. And what ended up happening was that the Mango community went and voted, and I think it was believed like due to the hacker's proposal. So I think the hacker made a proposal that they not pursue him legally, and then like the community voted that they would actually not pursue him, and that he would take, I forget how many millions of dollars. It was like $10 million or something? Like, it was a decent amount of money. I think it was like $10 million or something like that. The guy decided, okay, I'll take like $10 million of this. I'll return the rest. I'll take 10 million, and we just call it a bug bounty.
Okay, so I heard that the community was him. Was him using the tokens they hacked and actually voted for his own proposal.
Oh my gosh, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. It's just crazy. Because yeah, he's got the leverage at that point, if that's the case. But yeah, that whole situation was just wild. He successfully secured the largest bug bounty in crypto by doing so. Hats off to this man. Crazy situation from that whole Mango thing. I'll briefly touch on one other hack thing in crypto, the crypto space, which is not really associated with that. But just that I was reading an article earlier that said that over 50% of all hacks in crypto are related to bridges. So cross-chain bridge hacks, which we just saw like a $500 million hack or whatever from Binance 2 weeks ago now. So last year's move was flash loans. And everybody seems to like step their game up on flash loan attacks, and now it's bridges. So get the bridges down. Who knows what it'll be next year? But that seems like that's the new wave, the new.
Yeah, the hackers love going after those bridges.
They do. Something must be nice and vulnerable in those bridges. It's why I try to avoid the bridges as much as possible. I'll try to like send it to like a third party thing that handles the transaction for me and just shoots it to my wallet, just so that I'm not susceptible to any type of bridge hacks. But anyways, moving forward, this is something I want to touch on very briefly. Again, this is Curve Finance, MakerDAO, and Lido lead DeFi token rally. This does not at all surprise me, this type of article title, just because these are the big movers in the market of actual DeFi. And even when like a lot of DeFi projects, like a lot of people are like familiar with just DeFi farms, yield farms, but a lot of these yield farms under their belly utilize things like Curve and MakerDAO and Lido to actually generate some type of real yield. And then they spit that, like they use that to like, okay, so they get money from people depositing to the yield farm. Maybe there's like a tax or something like that on the deposits. They take that money, and yes, they can use that money to buy back up tokens. But if they're smart, they'll also deploy some of it in things like Curve, MakerDAO, Lido, something else with a real yield narrative, and use that to generate long-term profits. So that's typically any farm or something like that, or yield opportunity that's making long-term gains or that survived the drop is probably utilizing one of these projects. Lido is staking of Ethereum. MakerDAO is collateral, so it's like loans, borrowing and lending, and the DAI token. And Curve Finance is swapping of stablecoin assets. So that can be Bitcoin for Bitcoin, Ethereum for Bitcoin, Ethereum for Ethereum, or like Ethereum tokens. How is that possible? Because there's things like STETH, aka synthetic ETH, and Ethereum. There's things like REN BTC and BTC, things like that. So those are they're pegged to the same price, but maybe you want to move from one to the other. And so it's technically a stable coin because they're pegged to the same price of another token. And then DAI to USDC or USDT, obviously straight up stable coin, which you probably imagine most of the time when you say stable coin, even though it's a broader term than just United States dollar pegged. So eventually, yeah, helping change the narrative there, because I know a lot of people probably just think of stable coin. You just think of USDC, USDT, DAI, that's BUSD. But stable coins actually also include tokens like Bitcoin, Ethereum, anything that's pegged to the same value as another token. But yeah, these ones leading the charge, and that's because of their ability to actually generate some revenue. So yeah, I wanted to make sure those were included because I think they for most Degens they kind of go unnoticed. Big money pays attention to these ones. Degens are usually looking for some type of percentage per day, 0.2% a day, 1% a day, 3% a day. But these guys right here are where the real money is made in crypto and DeFi, and these are actually decentralized protocols. So, yeah. You have any any experience with any of these protocols, Satoshi?
I think I bought some Curve a long time ago, but I don't have it anymore.
Fair enough.
Other than that, not really.
Yeah. I had the opportunity to use Curve very early on in the DeFi summer, and I turned my back to it because it has one of the ugliest interfaces in all of DeFi. The interface is horrible. It's horrible. It's a horrible interface. They're trying to go for something like nostalgic looking computer and stuff, and they succeeded because it's awful. It's bad, bro. When you see all these new protocols and stuff, and like how well they do to like make their stuff look and how like user friendly it is, and like, no, this is bad, bro. But it's intentional too at this point, so whatever. On to some fun topics.
They don't want you to make no money, huh?
Man, for real. They like, oh, big money will understand this, and that's all that matters. But on to some fun topics. I'm gonna put this one up here first. So rare. So rare is gonna be our next one. Also, hello, master. I'm just gonna say master there. Low master. Like I'm not gonna say your whole name because it's that's a little choice. But so rare. It's a little choice. So rare is making our list today. Rex Satoshi, are you familiar with So Rare?
A little bit. I haven't used it yet, which is sad. I am kicking myself for not using it. Like it's probably right up my alley. It's like I did fantasy football for a couple years, but man, it's so stressful. Like having players that get hurt all the time and having the sub players in and out and shit. But I think that something like So Rare would be up my alley because you can like keep a player for like a couple years. It's like some type of fantasy basketball and baseball game, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like you're managing your team, so it's like basically like fantasy sports, managing your team, earning some points. I believe they have like little tournaments, so the same way that you do fantasy football or basketball with your friends, they have like little tournaments for that each week, and you try to come up with the best team, and have the best starters and whatnot in there. I must admit, I too have not used So Rare yet. But this is their latest update is going to get me in there. The reason that I had not used So Rare thus far is that if I scroll down this page here, let me make sure I'm on the right thing. Cool. If I scroll down this page here, they had previously had football, aka soccer. That was the thing they first started with, and what I first found So Rare with. And I'm a big soccer fan, and not that I don't appreciate the sport. I'm very obvious. I'm not a big soccer fan. And so I don't know what player is going to or what position I should pay more attention to or whatever the heck, and how to really manage a soccer team. Don't know. And so I tapped one of my buddies and I was like, yo, I would give you some money to manage the soccer team for me. And he just really wasn't into it. Cause I was super early. And I was like, before So Rare came out, and I was like, yo, I'll give you the money, do it for me. And I really wish he had, because that was like before the bull market, like really even took hold, and like the cards and stuff like that ended up being worth a lot of money during the peak of things. And we could have made buku cash. But whatever, c'est la vie. They later moved on to MLB, which still isn't really my grind. Baseball's a fine enough sport, but I really just enjoy getting some overpriced hot dogs and nachos. A nice large beer at a baseball game.
Yeah, man, I was gonna say maybe a beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, charge me $12.50. But no, it's probably more than that at a baseball game. Honestly, I'm like, what am I saying? That's the cost of the hot dog. Anyways, they finally added something that I could actually vibe with, which, like, if you're gonna get to the NBA or football, actual American football, or UFC or something like, those are things that I would like be able to manage better. And so they moved into the NBA. This is brand new with So Rare. This only started like 3 days ago. So this is brand new, actually free to play. Yeah, licensed, free to play, NFT.
Yeah, we should definitely check it out, man.
Yeah, so I'm going to be checking this out and trying to manage this team here. And I've been out of the loop with the NBA for the last few years, and so hopefully this gets me back into it. It's kind of the reason why I buy like any type of football game or sports games. Like I buy 2K and Madden just so that I can keep up with the NBA or the NFL, whatever year. I'll give it like a few years of a break, and then I'm like, I want to keep up and like know what players are good and stuff like that. And playing those games lets me know who's good. If you're running with a running back in Madden and they're just tearing things up, guess what? They're probably tearing it up on Sunday too. It's not just you out there doing it. And so I want to do the same thing with So Rare in the NBA here. And yeah, I'm really excited about this. Probably when we get off the call tonight, I'm gonna jump into this. It's free to play. I'm sure there's some you can buy cards and stuff like that too. And I think there's like certain levels of upgrades to it. But yeah, I'm excited about that.
I think that it has a lot of potential, man. So if you remember NBA's Top Shots, that brought a lot of people into the blockchain during the bull market. Like, and like it was a crazy amount of money. But I mean, like, depending on how you look at the number on there, because there was a while where the money was just flowing around in a circle on NBA Top Shots. But dude, they brought in a ton of money and a ton of people to the bull run, dude. I bet
Yeah. I felt so
the
bad
bull
about
run
not
kind
hopping
of
on that harder because I knew it was going to be big and I just didn't.
yeah.
I was like, Flow blockchain, I'll wait, I'll have time. And then it was like 2 weeks later, it was like, yeah, those cards are going for this much now. I was like, oh my lord, I could have got them for like
NBA Top
$10.
Shots
Like,
went nuts, dude. Yeah, I spent a very small amount of money on Top Shots and made way too much. It was just like, dude, I should have put more into this, but like all the S1 cards that I had and everything, it was nice. But I definitely think that we can run it back with So Rare because these cards have a little bit more utility than the NBA Top Shot cards do.
Yeah,
and you know, if it's something to where you can keep your fantasy player over a certain amount of time, and then you can sell that player too eventually. I guess if they don't get injured, you can let them go if you want, make a little bit of change off of them. But if you feel really confident about a player, you can gamble on that player and see what happens, man. Like, this is where blockchains, and gaming gets fun on the blockchain.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. And so So Rare is a project that we're showing right here. There's also a few other NBA and football related, American football related projects that are coming out. I know Gary Vee was backing one, which I forget it's called. I need to go look that up again because it might have started with this new NBA season. And then also we were just talking about Algorand.
Fan controlled leagues too, man, that I think are kind of cool that I wish I would have remembered to get into, but I forgot.
I wanted to also mention that Algorand, we brought up Algorand before, and one of the main reasons why the TVL on Algorand is going up so much was because they had a deal with FIFA. So FIFA was bringing in a bunch of that money into Algorand, and so it's still early. I don't even think it's like peak soccer season right now. I don't believe so. Like, yeah, it's early. But yeah, cool project. I'm excited about this. Free to play. If you want to get involved in the NFT, see what they're all about, they can do. Here's an opportunity. And before we get off this, wait, I think we got one more NFT thing to come up after this. But before we move on to our next NFT topic, I saw somebody talking about this on Twitter earlier, and they were saying it was a conversation, and the guy's like, actually, let me see if I can find it. The guy's like, oh, NFTs are stupid, and this, like the typical NFT hate type thing. He's like, oh, they're not really needed. Like, what would you, like, why would I like NFTs and this and that? And so somebody else, like, Web3 person's trying to explain it to him. And he's like, well, like, imagine having an asset in a game, whether it's a sword or armor or this or that. And then you could take that and you could sell it to other people. He's like, that's what an NFT is. And that's like the value of having an NFT. And the guy's like, the person who's saying NFTs are stupid is like, well, I can already do that on like Steam. I can like take these assets from my game and I can sell them on the Steam engine, like on the Steam client and like blah, 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 blah. And I can get these other things with them. And he's like, all right, so then maybe you do like NFTs and the concept of NFTs. You're just not doing it on the blockchain. You're doing it off chain, but it's the exact same concept. And I'm like, yeah, like to the point of like, we're about to get to this, like the gamers, in NFTs topic, whatever the heck. But it's like, yeah, when you have that level of hate for NFTs, and then at the same time, you're going around trying to sell items that you have in whatever game on Steam to buy up other stuff. Like, what are you actually like? You're actually just hating on the increase of technology, on like things advancing. You're hating on technology advancing, but at the same time, you're utilizing it wherever possible to your knowledge. Because if you like, that was just like the silliest thing to me. I was like, I can't believe this person. Like, really? This is what we're dealing with. This is what NFT haters and crypto, like, Jesus, like you're actually doing it. You're actually doing it. Like, so you understand NFTs. You actually don't hate it, but somebody told you hate the topic, and it's crazy. It's wild to me, bro. So make sure both of those wildness.
We can't force them to to come over to the dark side.
Yeah,
but eventually they will join us.
Yes, they will come. Here's the actual thread. I still don't see any practical application for crypto and gaming outside of making money off people. That's also the thing that people don't understand. Like, a lot of these games, Like, yes, there's some games where maybe you have to pay some amount of crypto or something like that to get into the game. But the last Madden game that I bought, this year's Madden, I paid $90 for the Madden game. That's insane. And that's just, there was only so many options. It was like, you want to spend $100? You want to, no, it was like 120, or you can spend 90. Like, that's a lot of money for a video game. And guess what I'm making off of that? Nothing. I'm making nothing off of that. So when I can spend like $30 on an NFT based game that maybe makes me pay money in that case, a lot of them are free that I play NFT games. They're just free and you can make money. But if I'm spending 30, like, I'm like, yeah, I spend way more than that on whatever game. And I don't make any money off of it. So like when people have this idea of like, oh, I don't see any practical applications for it outside of making money off people, I'm like, well, have you actually searched? Like, I feel like they actually haven't searched, but this person says this. And then if I scroll down a little bit farther, I think I can find that part of the conversation they were in. It's toward the bottom here. Same person. I'm not gonna give it too much time. Let me see if I can find it. I can't find it, but I summed it up.
To his point, though, like what he doesn't realize is that he's right to an extent, because the people who are making games, making AAA games, yeah, they make the games to make money off people. Like they make the games so that they can sell them to people.
Yeah.
So in the real game world, that's what people are doing. Only it's only a certain people who are allowed to make money. With blockchain games, I think it's interesting because people will get to fund, kind of more or less fund the games that they play. And then when you have these AAA games, you pay $60 for the game, and then it's up to those developers to decide if they want to keep making the game, or if they want to keep updating the game, if they want to fix bugs in the game. But with a lot of these games on the blockchain, they're gonna be sustained for years, so that they'll be able to pay for whatever upgrades they need to make to the game, and they're not gonna have to rely on a season pass or something like that. There'll be other financial incentives in the game, but it'll be more spread throughout the ecosystem of players and the people who are developing the game and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of things that people miss with like the NFT games, like the kind of like how you were saying, like it's spread throughout in different ways in the blockchain games. It just that like when you have the ability to earn royalties off of an NFT sale, if your game is using NFTs, for example, you don't need to, like, when people are like, I feel like people often confuse the idea of NFTs in a video game, in a Web3 game, with microtransactions and something like Fortnite, and it's like they don't need to, like, they don't need to hit you with a bunch of microtransactions in any type of blockchain game if they're going to make whatever percent, 1%, 2% off of royalties from you trading the NFT. Like, it's you making money from deciding to sell your item, and the game developer being like, yeah, and we're going to take whatever small percentage from that. You still make your money. Like, like, you're good, and you're not even going to notice this. And now we get that percentage consistently moving. So if our game is more popular and that item in the game is more popular, then it helps sustain the game in a long term. And like, that's how that really should be viewed, is that, yeah, it's like your utilization of that game or that asset in the game just helps sustain the game over the long term. It's not them coming back and charging you over, oh, well, I need $2 now. I need, if you want this to work again, $5 more for next season for you to get good. I was like, no, that doesn't really happen. Like, again, it's more so royalty based of, yeah, you're gonna sell it, we're gonna get a small percentage of it, and it keeps going over. And if, like, sure, you could, if you want to call that like the microtransaction, I don't know. I feel like it's a lot better of a model than we currently have working, where it's a free game, but actually, if you want to be able to keep up with anybody else, it's $5 every 2 months. It's like, yeah,
it's just like when you think about the amount of money, I like, as a gamer, like, we don't really, like, I feel like as gamers, like, we feel like the money that we spend on games is just like, it's money that we're just like, we're kind of like throwing away, essentially. Like, we're taking a risk on this game to decide, if it's a good game, if we're going to spend a lot of our time in this game. But really, that money adds up. Like, that's a lot of money that we've invested into games, into our platforms, into our attachments, you know, like our microphones and our mouses, our controllers and shit. And then a lot of people, you know, you spend a lot of time in the game, and then some people don't spend a lot of time in the game. Some people spend a lot of money in those games to buy in-game currencies to be able to buy the things that we spend our time, you know, grinding for.
Yeah.
It's just like if you could somehow get some value out of the time that you spent to do those activities and to get that item that you got, it's just like, you know, your life is going to be a lot better. And gamers aren't realizing, are like, I feel like most actual gamers are like, you know, they're open to blockchain as long as it's something that's going to be fun and that's, you know, it's going to be cool. It's not going to be too hard to get onto. But I feel like it's the fucking bots, dude. It's the bots and the NPCs who are like, oh, we fucking hate crypto and we don't want crypto games. It's like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about.
I'm like, it's not even just like we can call them bots. Like, there's a certain level of bots, I feel like, but like, you know, if we're saying NPC has a personality disorder or something like that, I feel like that's more accurate because there's just a lot of people that are just truly misinformed. And think, you know, they just have these
There's a lot of
misconceptions.
LARPers, bro. There's a lot of people who act like gamers that aren't.
Yeah, they have these
And a lot
misconceptions.
of people who are who have misconceptions.
I want to
And
show this example really quickly. Oops, that's myself. Pull myself over here. I know this is not the biggest screen, but this is the exact example of what we're talking about right now. So this is in Money Match Gaming's Discord server, and this is a player of ours, Camaraderie, who I got into Gods Unchained, I don't know, 2 years ago, like a year and a half ago or something like that. It's not 2 years. I think it's like a year and a half or something like that now. So I got him into Gods Unchained. And so he started, and he was like, oh, I really like it. And he's the first player from our team that just really enjoyed Gods Unchained and started playing it more seriously. So everything that he's gotten off of Gods Unchained is like from free. This man just played it, and just built up. So now he's in like the top rank with Gods Unchained, and we can see how much money he's been earning here across the last little bit of time. So now Gods Unchained is a free-to-play game, but on top of that, you can earn their God's token, and God's token is about 31 cents per token. So I wanted to show how much Camaraderie's been earning here every day. This is daily that he's earning this money. So from a free game, this is the type of opportunity that exists in Web3 gaming that other people like. And again, when you consider that you're spending $90, $60, $90, whatever, $100 from games that aren't anything back, that's wild. At least like $1.50 a day on some of these. Because like if it's 31 cents per God's token. He's earning 5 God's token in this day. So Wednesday he made $1.50. Then he made $1.20. Then he made another $1.20. He made a little less, but like the man's making like $1 a day playing a video game that he just enjoys playing. It's just a fun game, and he just enjoys playing it, and he's making money off of it. And that's the type of potential that you have with Web3 games that just doesn't exist in other games yet. Like it doesn't exist in other games. And so for like articles like this one that we were currently reading, where it's like, oh, video game fans have largely beaten back efforts to, you know, and like they've won versus like, you know, beaten NFTs. I'm like, you sound dumb. You really sound dumb saying something like that, because you could just be earning off of whatever game. And like, if people didn't like really combat this stuff, like what people want, what they wanted to do, what you want to do is make them install, like actually learn about gaming and actually learn about Web3 and blockchain and all this stuff and implement the right type of infrastructure. That's what you want. You want them to implement good tokenomics. You want them to implement something that makes sense, that isn't just penny pinching you. But largely, it's not really about penny pinching you. It's about rewarding you for playing that game, and that doing so in a way that it's also going to reward the game itself, so the game can continue to build. And that's what we have here in Gods Unchained. This is made by the people that made Magic the Gathering. like it's successful. It's working. So when I hear people like talk like, you know, like ultra haterish or something like that, I'm like, bro, like, you know what? Keep being a hater. Like there's only so much. What is it? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I'm like, that's literally how I'm feeling about at this point in blockchain, where I'm like, and in gaming, Web3 and all of it and stuff. I'm like, you know, just there's no need. At this point, I'm kind of done on trying to like, I'll continue to educate people, but if somebody wants to be the type of level where they just don't want to learn anything and they want to keep having these like what I consider ignorant points at this point, like you can't say anything actually, and there's no intelligent like counter argument or something like that. Like, if the counter argument is, well, there might be microtransactions down the line. You're already dealing with microtransactions, fool. What if you ended up making some money back from the game and there was microtransactions? So what? You were already dealing with microtransactions on a level that's ridiculous. Make some money back from it. Stopping progress. Like, goodness.
Stop fighting it.
Yeah, it's like, it's so ridiculous.
Stop fighting it.
Like, stop. Because you're just hurting yourself. And you're like, you sound silly to somebody who actually spends time. Or like, if you're going to talk to camaraderie and be like, yeah, blockchain games and NFTs are stupid. Well, I bet you lost a lot of money. He's like, you're a fool. Like, you're just straight up a fool. This is what he's been making recently. And he had already made thousands of dollars off of this game. Like, stop it.
Yeah. So a couple months ago, like probably like a year ago actually, when like NFTs were popping, there was these NFTs I had called the Dizzy Dragons, right? And there was the streamer who I had hosted a couple Pokemon tournaments, and there was a streamer who got in some of our tournaments. So I ended up talking a little bit with him about NFTs in one of his streams one day, and I was explaining to him that if he would get a wallet, I would send him one of these NFTs that I had that was probably worth like $200 or $300 at the time, which was not a lot, but he was like working on a goal to get a new computer or something. Well, anyway, there was this guy in his chat that was like basically talking him out of taking the NFT and like selling it for Ethereum and selling it to get the whatever goal he was trying to reach. And he was like, yeah, no, NFTs are a Ponzi scheme, and it's bad for the environment. I'm like, bro, look, just take this NFT and let me show you how to like get the money off of it. Like, I'm not gonna do it for you. Yeah. Like, bro, but if you're trying to reach your goal, I'll try to help you out. But he let this dude talk him out of it basically, and I was just like, man,
I had people.
That's unfortunate.
During the peak of the bull run, I had people turning down hundreds of dollars. I would like popping into streamers like, guys, like, let me see if I can give away $100 in crypto. People be like, oh, I don't know this and that. I'm like, this level of ignorance. Like, I will teach you just how to cash it out immediately. If you just want to cash it out, I'll teach you how to cash it out. And like, their chat will be jumping in. Oh, don't do this. Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, what are you stopping? Like, you turning down this $100 right now is like, dude, it's so silly. And then this article right here that read you guys the title: video game fans have largely beaten back efforts to incorporate blockchain tokens into new releases, a rare win against the industry efforts to wring more money into its customers. When I started this, I was like, let me actually read the article a little bit. One of the first things this article talked about, which is something that I debunked multiple times during the actual bull run, because people really thought, they were like, well, the most NFTs are being transacted on Ethereum. I'm like, the most NFTs were being transacted on Ethereum in like 2020. Like in 2021, it was like Solana and Polygon and any other chain but Ethereum. Big money was on Ethereum still. The most NFTs were being transacted on Wax and everything else. We just checked out Wax and saw how much Wax is leading all these other blockchains and games last stream. Yeah. But this article starts and they're like, in all those other blockchains that I just mentioned, eco-friendly proof of stake, like a lot less energy consumed versus proof of work blockchain. Read the first like paragraph or so of this article, and it's like, NFTs are largely damaging to the environment. I'm like, if this is what you coming with, I'm like, my goodness, bro, this is the most outdated, ignorant. Like, it's just, again, you can't help certain people, bro. You can't help certain people, because like, that's the level of ignorance they're gonna come at you with. It's like, oh yeah, well, it's bad for the environment. And I'm like, what is, like, even if it's on Ethereum now, have you been paying attention to what Ethereum did in the merge? Like, good God, silly. But I'm sorry for getting so animated, folks. But when I read stuff like that, and I've been debunking it for like over 2 years now, of like, yo, that's just not correct.
It's like, that's what I mean by the bots. The bots and the NPCs, these people who write these articles that are just like, where do you get this stuff from?
Like, do some level of research, like recent research. Like, they're like, I heard this information 5 years ago, and so I'm going to just use that too. But since I brought up the idea of the merge, I did want to pop it on screen just briefly, guys. And I go to this. We're going to this like, every week. We're going over to this ultrasound money, and guess what? It looks better every week. So this is Ethereum since the merge. The merge happened over here on the chart, and it was going Ethereum, as far as the emissions of Ethereum to miners, was going straight up in a line, straight up in the air. That's how much Ethereum was being minted out. And since the merge, it took a different trajectory and it started heading off to the right. So not as much Ethereum. Around this day or so, was it October 8th, is when Zen crypto, a freedom cryptocurrency, came out, and a lot of people were, oh, Zen bad for Ethereum, this and that, it's make the gas prices go up. Like, yeah, but if gas prices go up, guess what? Ethereum becomes more deflationary. It's kind of what you want. And guess what? The gas prices, they're going to balance themselves out over time anyways. So like when people are saying that stuff, I'm like, you don't really understand Ethereum post merge. But that's cool because there's so much to learn in blockchain. I really, hate on people like that. So you got to learn more about it though. Hopefully you're not going to take that too negatively. But around this time, what do we have? It was 12,000 around. I think it peaked around 14,000 or something like that. Ethereum post merge. Currently, we're sitting at only 4,000 Ethereum minted. This is less than we've had the last two shows. It's going like an Ethereum minted since the merge. It hasn't been this low since when's the last time it was this low? September 22nd. September 22nd was the last time it was anywhere around this. And the merge happened on the 15th, guys. So a week out from the merge, what's going to happen in a week? A week from now, is Ethereum going to be less than it was around the time of the merge? Interesting. I don't know. It's been deflationary ever since Zen crypto came out, though. It's getting pretty wild right now. Who knows what's going to happen? And if it takes it another week or two, people are anticipating that we're going to see some really big market volatility over the next 2-3 weeks. So that might be kicking in right around the time that, it's all this volatility hits the market and things go chaotic. And we have Ethereum at an all new low since the merge and ultra deflationary. I'm excited to see what happens. Before we get off of this ultrasound money, and I'll give Rex Toshi time to make any comments, I just want to show you guys what Ethereum would look like, how much Ethereum would have been emitted to miners had there not been a merge. So if we stayed on proof of work chain Ethereum, there would have been at current time 417,000 Ethereum minted versus just 4,000 we're currently sitting. It's not comparable, guys. It's an insane amount of Ethereum wiped off the books, bro. It's insane. That's like there's you gotta let me put it in perspective like this. There's 21 million Bitcoin. 21 million Bitcoin. There would have been 500,000 Ethereum minted since the merge in this short amount of time. Setting it farther apart from Bitcoin, there's only been 4,000 Ethereum minted since that. It's so big. Whenever this catches up, whenever this and the actual value of Ethereum catches up, and the market stop being BS, whatever, this is going to be huge. This is no, we can't, not financial advice, not financial, but this is pretty substantial. This is hard to find anything else that's done something like this. If this was the United States and the increase and interest rates and stuff like that, this is the Fed bumping up
our dollars.
Yeah, dude, it would be so intense that markets would have crashed. People would have the world would be in chaos. It would be crazy because that's a large stark difference, guys. And what's causing this? We can scroll down here a little bit more just to see what's causing all this Ethereum to be burnt. Zen crypto all the way down here now at its max, I believe it was causing about 1,200 Ethereum to be burned in a single day. Now it's only 75. Uniswap V3 and V2 are causing the most to be burned. So people are doing trades, followed up by OpenSea, NFTs, and all these. And this is all a lot more eco-friendly now. It's how eco-friendly is it? More so than any bank on the planet. More so than any credit card company, more so than Microsoft, more so than Google, more so than any business that you can pretty much bring up to face against this. It's that much more energy efficient. It's not really comparable. It wasn't really comparable before because they weren't doing that work. And in the amount of time that Ethereum has had to accomplish this, it's crazy. It's crazy. Show me a business that's cut down their energy consumption 99.95% in less than 10 years. It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You know how much they would have to lay off and all the changes they would have to do? They'd be we're talking about Paris Climate Accords and stuff like that. They're maybe by the year 2035, 2050. That's the level of stuff that Ethereum accomplished in less than 10 years. It's crazy. But whatever. Just had to bring that up. It's always a fun thing to go into. Any closing comment on the ultrasound money thesis? It's Toshi. I mean, this is really sexy to look at, though. Sometimes I just wake up in the morning and use this to get energized.
This is a pretty cool site, yeah, but I don't have much to say about it. I think it's really cool that Ethereum has held its price after the merge. It didn't go down too much. I think it was around what? I think after the bounce, it got up to around 17. And then after it come back down here, I mean, I think Ethereum is the OG, man. So we gotta see what they do. Like everyone's, like wait for Ethereum to make their moves, and then they make their moves after Ethereum.
Yeah.
We got all these layer ones that are popping up, trying to be the next one.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's not gonna be Solana, guys. Sorry, it's not gonna be Solana. Like Solana will exist as like a. This is what I think for Solana. Solana does have potential to be a gaming platform. It can do that.
I think that's what most of these layer ones are gonna have to like.
It can be
have to be like. There's gonna have to be like.
Because you can be centralized as hell. You can be centralized as hell and be perfect for a gaming platform. That's how gaming platforms work currently. Microsoft owns the Xbox. PlayStation owns the PlayStation. Or Sony owns the PlayStation. Like, that's how these things work.
Yeah. So whichever whichever of these blockchains like partners with the Epic Game Store or the Blizzard the Blizzard Game Store, the Blizzard game launcher. But you're starting to see some of these games come to the Epic launcher at least. So maybe eventually I don't know if they'll make their own token or just have their own marketplace, or individual games will have their marketplaces. But it's still early for games. But I don't know how much longer it will be early.
Yeah.
But there will always be people who are making new games. So just what game do you want to be a part of, and
see, yeah, and I don't even. I'm wondering how long these other clients, these launchers, like you brought Blizzard and Steam or whatever have you. I wonder how long they'll be able to last against a Web3 client that's becoming more and more successful, or the one that starts to integrate more of these traditional games and Web3 games. Like at that point, once one really starts to onboard more traditional games to it, from partnerships or whatever have you, and you still have the Steams and whatever that are holding out. How long before they just lose the battle and become the blockbuster totally is my perception of it. I'm because that's going to happen. At some point, they either have to adapt or die.
I don't know. I feel like with games, I don't know. I feel like as gamers, we buy a lot of the same things over and over again. We buy a lot of the same things that are updated versions or that look better. Over and over again, but it's just people have to get tired of that eventually, and just decide that they want to upgrade the way that they pay for it, and the way that they consume their games, the way that they download their games, and the way that they play their games with their friends or whatever. But I think that it's just going to take. It's going to be about specific games, like if Fortnite had cryptocurrency, a lot of people wouldn't know what cryptocurrency is. If Apex or if Overwatch, so it's gonna take one of these games that's wild, that a lot of people that just has a cryptocurrency current aspect to it, and then I think that people will start paying more attention.
I mute myself.
I think you're muted.
Yeah, my dogs were going off, so I wanted to mute for a second. But yeah, before we move on to our next topic, I wanted to show this one game launcher that I was actually just in one of their Twitter spaces. I think this is a pretty cool one, and I could see something like this taking over and just continuing to get bigger. I've seen them for about a year or so now, and I remember just continue to get bigger. But this is Elixir. I forget all the cool. They got some pretty cool stuff working on this platform. But you can see big time here. So this is what I imagine the future becoming, and more of the Ubisofts and Sega and Atari, all these big companies that actually want to work on Web3 games and stuff like that have vocally said that. I see them partnering with game launchers like this putting their games there to get in front of those audiences. And yeah, eventually the Steam start to lose traction. Like, yeah, you can still be there, but if all the and this is my thing, if all the big brains in finance and stuff like that are already moving to DeFi and crypto and stuff like that, then how long before all the big brains in gaming start to move to Web3 as well? Like, a lot of them are already starting to do so.
They're already doing that.
Yeah,
the big brains in gaming, like that game, big time, right
yeah,
there.
like Big Time has
There's so
everybody
many,
in it.
yeah. I'm pretty sure that Guild of Guardians has some pretty big AAA developers in it as well. So we're starting to see it switch over. I mean, it's just like I don't know. It's a better way to track the financials of your game, like, and to have a sustained market of people. I mean, who hasn't played a fucking an RPG or like a story game where you're like, man, I wish that this fucking currency was real, or I could spend it on something else, because you've spent your fucking time to make that money in game or something. You know, you're like, man, I wish I could spend this on something else. I feel like if you're a real gamer, you've always at least gave that a thought.
I spent thousands of hours on this game. I wish, like, wish I could get something back from it or whatever. Yeah, yeah. Right?
I used the Epic Store to download that Star Atlas pre-alpha. And let me tell you, there's nothing going on in there. Now it looks really beautiful. It's fucking Unreal Engine 5, I think. It's beautiful, like you. So they gave me a free ship, and I could go in there and I could place my ship, so I could see my ship, and I could kind of go in it, but I couldn't fly it or anything. Like, all you can do is go around and like see some of the build, like the ship hangar, and there's some like plants and stuff. Like, it was interesting. But there was no substance there for real, besides seeing that they could build, a game world, which hopefully they expand on it. But it's like it's taken a while.
Yeah, and I always anticipated it would take a while. Like, I beat Star Atlas a little bit because because a lot of money is going into it, and they have big. And it's not just about the money that's going into it; it's their vision. They have a big vision and big dreams with Star Atlas. So hopefully they can accomplish it all. Because if they do, it'll be a great epic game. Like, not because of the Epic Game Launcher, but it'll be an epic game. So hopefully they can accomplish it all. But normally when you make something like that grand in scale, it's like, wow, that's going to take a while. So I would anticipate, if you actually want to give it it's like enough time to like build a good game, 5 years. That sounds reasonable. So I wouldn't be anticipating anything for next year to be big. I wouldn't be anticipating anything for next year after that to be big. And then maybe after that, we see something that's like, wow, okay, this is dope. For Star Atlas people. But at the same time, the people who invested early enough probably are going to see the most benefit from it. And if they don't see that big benefit from it in terms of like monetarily to themselves, just in a way that you help move forward this technology, this innovation and blockchain gaming, Web3 gaming, because you did like for something like this to happen in traditional gaming, it's a bunch of VCs, venture capitalists, throwing money into a game. And here we have individuals saying, this is what I want. Imagine if we could do that with like Blizzard games or something like that. No, I want it to be this type of game. And you give Blizzard a bunch of money, you buy up whatever passes, and Blizzard's working with you hand in hand as a community throughout the whole process of making this game. That would be phenomenal, but we just don't really have that currently.
Yeah, we're not there yet, because we have a bunch of people writing articles telling gamers that gamers hate NFTs.
Yeah.
And when I think about like a lot of these gaming ecosystems, dude, I think that it's like going to be like a gaming, like a UBI, essentially. Like, like the ecosystem is sustaining itself not only in game but outside of the game as well. because there's a lot of like, I feel like these people who are writing these articles are like, they're basically capitalist, and they think that a company sharing their value with you is just fucking is communism, essentially.
Yeah.
When you get deep down into it, I don't want to get political, but
Yeah,
it's just like you can have it all sometimes.
Here, as a quick segue, and I think this is perfect thing because we just got this person in the chat. Let me see if I can actually show this to you guys. So this person wrote in the chat, and I'm sure it's to be somewhat troll. How can I earn money? Because like you didn't really give a subject to that. To earn money doing what? That would be, and you need enter a subject for that, like a correct sentence. Somebody can understand. But how could you earn money? Here's one way that you could earn money in Web3 today. Had you actually been involved in Web3 over the past few months as a transition. Blur. This has been the hot topic in crypto Twitter today. So NFT marketplace Blur to airdrop tokens to users as it goes live. So I believe these users are already being airdrop tokens. But let me read through this real quick. Fungible token NFT marketplace Blur is airdropping care packages with Blur tokens to its users in light of its launch. Blur will send the tokens to everyone who's stuck around in the bear market. For the past 6 months, I'm like, man, I wonder if it like means if I got an NFTs in any type of way. I don't know when the last time I bought an NFT is. I know I've acquired some NFTs, but I don't think I have to pay for them. I've been getting like free NFTs from this and that. According to a Twitter post, you bought some. So if you bought some, this you might want to
Gem Swap, I think.
You might want to get over here and get some free money.
Yeah,
according to a Twitter post, why not take the free money? In order to access the drop, users need to list a single NFT on Blur in the next 14 days. The tokens will then become available in January when it's officially released. So there's more to this though. There will be a second, much bigger airdrop in November for traders who list on the platform. So they want people to use this platform. So if you have NFTs and you want to make money, because there's some type of NFT they were giving away too. We'll see as we keep reading this. But yeah, there's a way to make money right there. Within 14 days, list an NFT on this platform. I'm sure there's tons of different NFTs you can list. The tokens will become available in January when it's officially released for this other token, whatever the heck. The company said the airdrops are a way to incentivize traders to honor royalties. You said dang. What that dang mean? What you read?
Well, Blur raised $11 million in a seed round in March. It seems like very interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting when like we were talking about Aptos earlier. They made like 250 million in their seed round, which had a bunch of VCs in it. So it's just kind of like the same thing. So imagine if Aptos was just giving people who traded NFTs on Ethereum an airdrop. Like that's what these people are doing with Blur. They're fucking giving you free money for using Ethereum. Like
it's gonna send
for using NFTs.
Yeah, when Ethereum deflationary. Also, I'd say like the last time that I saw something like this was like So Rare. I feel like So Rare had a similar type of strategy, which worked out really well for the platform. And it's
So Rare worked out really well for me too. What about you?
I did not participate in that shit. I'm not the biggest NFT guy like that, where I just like participate in everything NFT. You know, I'm a lot more like financial numbers game. It's gonna make, but I really, and like part of that was over the last bull market stuff. Like I just didn't have a lot of money to be like, like I didn't come into the market with like people like they see my TikToks or something like that, and they're like, "Oh, you must have a lot of money." Like I didn't. I started on Binance Smart Chain with $500, and I turned it into like a lot of money. But like that was because I like numbers. But I just never have had like all this money and stuff like that. The last bull run, I started with like $2,000, guys. I was able to save up like $2,000 when the bull run started. That's how much money I was able to put away. And I've turned that into a lot more than $2,000. But like that's how broke I've been. So like what I have now is from like paying attention to the blockchain and like all these opportunities and stuff. But when you have so little too, that just meant that, like, you know, when I saw NFT projects for like I remember seeing CryptoPunks for like $10,000. And I was like, maybe I should have CryptoPunk. But like I'm like, and that was like, actually it was like I saw him before that because I remember because they had going up to about $10,000, and I was like, oh, it's way too expensive now. But like that's how early you could be sometimes. And like, yeah, if you're broke, you're like looking at this stuff like, I really don't have the money for that. I really don't have the money for that. But this time around, you know, I had that much more knowledge about the space and about some of these things. And so, you know, also like I have more money to play around with on the chain. So if I were to see projects like I'll probably take part in this Blur thing and just really start to use like all these opportunities with airdrops and utilizing different platforms and stuff like that. Because number one, I see them as learning opportunities where you get to learn about all these different things and learn about different ecosystems. And then, you know, number two, make some decent money. So yeah, Rex Satoshi, I mean, you've benefited off of NFTs way more than me, I'm sure, because they have to have like a strong utility to like draw me into the NFT project. Not to say that the ones that you like have used, I haven't, but I know like you're just like way more into NFTs that are even profile pictures. Like, and I don't think I've bought any profile picture NFTs. Like, I'm like, nah, like I want like strong utility behind it. Otherwise, I'm not putting my money down.
I'm like way more risky with NFTs, and we're way more risky with DeFi, I think.
Yeah.
So I feel like we complement each other pretty well, except for at least you do some stuff with NFTs. I don't do shit with DeFi, but I do want to stake some ILV and
yes, I still got that FPS
more staking stuff and hold stuff for a year.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. One day when I go back and look at like all the tokens that I've staked in places that I just don't touch for like a long time, it's just gonna be pretty. Sometimes I still go to those wallets and I'm like, oh, look, this is nice. You just been stacking up over here. But this is a good opportunity, I think. And not financial advice or anything like that, but this is the type of stuff that's available. Somebody asked the question, you know, how can I earn money? Stuff like this, paying attention to this is another airdrop. We were talking about airdrops and how lucrative they can be. And here's a great example of that. Mango Hacker, just as an update on that Mango Hacker thing, actually they secured $47 million in a bug bounty. So we were off a little bit there. Let me come over here really quickly before I go into this next topic. This is a fun one that I saw on crypto Twitter today. Switching topics off of the NFTs for a bit. And this was a guy, Avi Eisenberg. Avraham, I believe it's like a Jewish version of like an Abraham or something like that, or maybe another way of spelling it. Avraham Eisenberg. I'm like, oof, that is a name. But what does he do? Who is this guy? Digital art dealer is what his name is, or what he describes himself as. Blog occasionally at Deep 5 Value Substack.com. That's what got me interested and like made me want to read more about it. Number one, the way that he like responded to this tweet that I saw was a little big brainish. I was like, oh, it's kind of confident. And then I saw Substack in the name, and I was like, let me read a little bit more into your profile and see what you actually do in this space, because somebody was trying to call him stupid for his opinion on something. And so read into this guy's tweet, and this is going to be a little top heavy, a little brain heavy, but let's jump into it anyways. This guy wrote earlier, I've been advised Aave is perfectly safe, so here's the potential trading strategy. No financial or legal advice, but if you do make 9 figures on this, feel free to send me a tip. So he said this earlier before anything happened and this token's price. And as a preface of this, the token that he's going to mention here had quite the run up today. It did have a nice little run up. I don't know where it's at right now, but like I looked at the dang chart. Somebody definitely employed this strategy, and the token like went like straight up with the strategy. So we mentioned REN BTC earlier actually, and like and stuff like that. And so they're using the REN token. But it said, note that starting with more initial capital increases success odds and profit percentage. This is the type of stuff that's available to people in borrowing and lending markets, money or MMs, money markets in crypto, if you know what you're doing. And you need to be a big brain to do it sometimes. So he says at 60% LTV, which is locked. What is it? I looked it up earlier. It's like locked total value or something like that. It was value.
Locked token value.
Yeah, something around that. I don't know if that's the exact right wording for it. but it was like the lock value. You can profitably, and then he breaks this down. One, so, and I think that's like it's like basically like the value that's given back to you. So like basically what you're able to withdraw from that money market. So you deposit some collateral, you get some money back. And usually you can only get so much money back from the collateral, right? Like if you deposit $100, you can't get $100 back. You get like $60 back. And that's how they stay over collateralized in DeFi. So I believe that's what that's in reference to. I believe. So if somebody's out there hating big time, stop it. Just look it up yourself right now. Anyways, you lend $100 million in USDC as part one. You borrow $85 million of REN. So lend 100, borrow 85 million in REN. Of REN. So that's REN tokens. I don't think that's USDC. I believe that's REN tokens. 85 million of REN. Account B. So you're using two accounts to deploy the strategy, similar to how a trader would use multiple accounts to go long and short at the same time. Account B then lends 80. So you send the money over to the other account. Account B then lends 85 million REN and borrows 50 million USDC. So what this means is that this cost you, net cost here is $50 million since you borrowed some and lended some. So you lended them 100 million. It's only only cost you $50 million to do so far. With another $50 million, since you still have $50 million of this initial 100 million, with another $50 million, you can buy at least 125 million worth of REN. So now you buy some more REN because you can borrow 60% LTV. REN market cap is $125 million currently. So 125 million in buying pressure. So at this point, you're starting to influence. This is enough money to start influencing the market cap, the price of a token. You're spending that much money. So in buying pressure, at minimum doubles, and realistically probably 5x's at least. So basically, he's like relaying this as a strategy. Like, yeah, you can deploy this much money, and you would make the token's price double at minimum with this strategy, pretty much instantly. Yeah, but you need $100 million to deploy this strategy. But if you do, you can make this token's price double. So you're getting your money back. You're making a lot of money, and probably 5x's at least. If you 4x, you can borrow another. So this is if the market starts to move so much, because if other people start to see the token move too, they're probably going to help you push that price up. And they're like, oh, I want to be part of this. If you 4x, you can borrow an additional 150 million on account B, and I believe 150 million worth of REN for $50 million profit. It's actually somewhat more because you'd be buying the REN at a lower average price. So you just make like this is the bro. Imagine being rich and having this level of brains and just being like, yeah, let me go make an extra $40 million today. Oh my god. I'd actually guess that 125 million is buying pressure, 10x is it. So if you reach that 125 million in buying pressure, you actually deploy this whole strategy. Then he's guessing that you actually 10x the price of REN token. You're 10xing something on your own movement of money. You're walking away with this stuff as profit. And then you would be able to borrow another 500 million against your initial 100 million capital. Basically, the way this works out is this man was using money markets, or he didn't deploy this himself, but it came up with a strategy to manipulate money markets to the point that it was more than the market cap of the token. He increased the market cap of the token. Basically, there's no more sellers to combat his buying pressure, and he was able to just move the price of the tokens up. And so let me actually try to put this up on screen really quickly. I'm going to go to Nomics. Let me see if we can get REN on screen. Oh, I'm just gonna have to click it. Like I just find the new keyboard. I can't even push enter sometimes, bro. There you go. Those you laughed. That was so cheap. I'm so cheap. Okay, let me see this REN. Right, this REN price. Is this the right REN? I don't think this is the right REN. Might be. Well, I don't know if this is the right. There's like multiple RENs popped open there. Like it might be from this valley here too, but let me go back to this actual tweet. I want you. It might be down here somewhere. There was some really nice. There you go. This was Here we go. Oops. This is what happened. Some amount of time after this guy tweeted this. This is what happened to the Ren chart. And so it just started to move.
New trading strategy.
Oh, I thought this was hilarious. It was like, wow, it actually just like moved upward. So I don't know how much it moved, but yeah, that was just funny to see. I'm like, wow, no, that's money to be made there. But yeah, my real point in pointing this out, other than like somebody made some nice money off of this, whoever was actually trying to deploy this strategy on whatever level, was that this is the level of things that can be done. And when we're looking at institutional investors and stuff like that coming in there, which is like the only people that can really deploy $100 million to do some type of strategy like this is the type of thing that's possible. And this is not only possible in DeFi. Yes, this is a DeFi situation that they're breaking down. It's also possible in traditional finance. Stuff like this happens in traditional finance and all the time, guys, all the time. So my point in bringing up that little bit of DeFi fun today. Yeah. I thought that was crazy. And for me, it's like it's intellectual fun where I'm like, this is how you should be thinking about stuff though. Like I'm not gonna be able to like just move a market with my amount of money, but like the way that he talks about maneuvering the money from side to side to make any sort of gain is brilliant to me.
Shoot, all you had to do was buy a little bit of Ren.
Man, I mean, I caught this after the move. So.
After you seen that strategy.
I caught it so after the move, after the people releasing charts and people being like, yo. But yeah, if I had seen this like right when he tweeted it, and noticed the trend went up at all, I'd be like, yes, it's a time to buy. But fun thing there, as we get closer to close today, this was a fun topic over the last week. It says a house was just sold as an NFT on OpenSea for $175,000 USDC. Instead of waiting months for underwriting appraisals, title searches, and preparing deeds, I was able to buy a fully titled, insured, rent-ready property with one click. So yeah, did you see anything about that? Other than, I mean, I shared it, but yeah, I thought it was cool stuff. But
it's pretty cool to me, man. Hope one day I can buy an NFT house.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have 175,000 to just throw out on a house, so that's a problem for me. I would need to take out a large crypto loan to do so, and crypto is largely over collateralized, so I'm not going to have, you need more than 175,000 to take it out in crypto. But I digress. Maybe if I could employ a strategy like the last one to make a lot of profit, it'd be possible. But the downside to this, I saw mentioned, and it was like Crypto Indio like said something, and then somebody else broke it down. And maybe it's one of these well-watched ones, but it was basically that the company pretty much still owns the property, and that's how this is able to be done. So the company's owning the property and taking on a lot of that risk, and then they give this title or whatever to the individual. And so yes, the individual has a title, but technically the company still also owns the property. And in that sense, it reminded me a lot of like what I had recently learned about like the Chinese real estate market, which is like not the best strategy. I don't know. So cool.
It sounds like a scam. What the fuck you mean, bro? What do you mean they still own the house?
Here, let me pop up this source. Let me pop up for those you come at me. Let me pop up with the source real quick. It was interesting. I like did like a little response tweet to it. I was like, oh, this is how it's.
To be honest, 175K sounds well below. Like, I guess it depends on what the actual house looks like
and where it is.
But
if it's in the Midwest, you can get away with that. Yeah, you can get away with that. Especially if it's not the nicest neighborhood. Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but you better own that motherfucker or not be the company still owns it. What? Yeah,
right. Again, that's how it's all working in China. Apparently, like the Chinese government owns like all the real estate still. Like, so people buy it and stuff like that, but the government actually owns all the real estate. So
wrecked right now.
Yeah. Yep. This is exactly it. And that's like, yeah. So they were like basically doing like Ponzi-ish type of stuff where people would pay for these houses like ahead of time and stuff like that. And the government actually owns it.
For houses,
yeah, it's crazy. And like nobody actually owns it. The government owns it.
What the fuck?
Yeah. They wreck. That's why they need those tanks out there. This house sold as a real world NFT for $175,000 over the weekend. The way it works, the LLC takes ownership of the property, the tokenize the property, and mint an NFT that represents ownership of the house. Holding the NFT gives you the ownership of the actual house.
Yeah. Okay. So that means that the company doesn't own it. You own it, right?
Have the
NFT.
The LLC takes ownership of the property. So you own the title that the company minted to you. The company technically owns it, but they're saying, yes, we. So like the overlurking company that's printing out these titles. Like if they bought a bunch of different houses, then they're minting out the deeds, unless it becomes like legal at like a state level and the state like recognizes it. But otherwise, technically the company could still default or something.
That sounds like a scam. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little. Yeah, I'm like they're getting there. We're getting there, but at the same time, it's a little risk for me. It's a little too risky for me.
Yeah, because you're not really buying anything. You're just transferring money to them. I don't get it.
I mean, you're buying like a promise, like a promissory note, basically. Like, yeah.
So the house isn't built yet, or what?
No, the house is built. I'm just ready to move in and all that stuff.
So do you have to like you have to go to the company to get the title, I guess?
Well, they would send you the title as the
NFT.
NFT. They send you the title as the NFT, which gives you ownership of it. But the state, like, so again, like the main thing here is like the state doesn't necessarily recognize an NFT title, but the company does. So the company, the LLC, actually has the real world title for the house. And then they're giving you this NFT. Yeah, exactly. It's still owned by the LLC.
Nope.
And that's why I was like, that's very, very Chinese government housing market type of situation to me. Right. I don't know that I would do that. But I mean, you got $175,000. Maybe this is the type of decisions you make. We got that laying around. It's not the type of decisions that I make. Whew. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. What we got left here? Bank of Canada. Some fun topics. Some whatever. Moving into the topic of the day, Mr. Sam Bain, you take the stage, please. Mr. Bankman-Fried.
Man, this guy.
It's
come full circle now.
U.S. and Sam Bankman-Fried litigation by regulator, but at the same time, he's bending over to all the regulators. Maybe it's because he's being investigated. I don't know. Yeah, you had some opinions about this, didn't you? I think you did. Let me read through this.
I just want to make sure we had all like both the stories that came out about him this week.
This is the one. I gotta see if they have the other one in Trustless sources because I have been reading some stuff about him earlier today. But yeah, here, let me read through this. The Texas State Securities Board is investigating FTX US and its founder Sam Bankman-Fried for potentially offering unregistered securities. Oh my goodness, we've never heard that before. This is all that they do. This is all they do. True. The investigation was revealed in a filing by the board's enforcement director, Joe Rotunda, who filed it within the bankruptcy case of Voyager Digital. Okay. But yeah, basically SEC doing SEC things. They want to, it's like, they just want to control everything. They want, and a large portion of this, I was like looking into, what makes a security, and this, like, I feel like everybody's done that. How we test. But more so, what's the SEC's benefit from doing all this? Like, why are they pushing so hard? And what I found in that research is that the government gives them so much money per year. SEC got like, was it 54 billion or something like that, I believe, over the last year from the government. And then from these securities, they actually earn a percentage of all the securities that are registered. So like for all the securities, they earn whatever percent from these securities. And so, yeah, if there's a lot of money being made by one of these, like, why are they going after all these tokens and trying to make them securities and this and that, even if it doesn't necessarily fit that? Why are they trying so hard after all these things? So that they can get more money. It's a greed grab. It's they want to be able to control it, but then they also just want more money for their branch. That's it. That's the answer. And so, yes, you can call them despicable for that, because it is despicable. It's like, no, you're like hurting other people, like like don't really care about this stuff, doing like all this grimy stuff that you like, and they haven't the thing is, and I'm like, I wouldn't be calling it grimy if they understood what they're doing better. But even when I like listen to like because before this last bull run, I was listening to Gary Gensler, the chair of the SEC, talk about blockchain technology. I would like listen to his MIT lectures. You can find them on YouTube when he was teaching at MIT and stuff like that. And he somewhat understands blockchain. Like he understands, but he doesn't really like, I'm like, you don't sound like somebody who's actually a practitioner. You like understand basic level of some things. You don't really understand what's happening here. You don't, because you wouldn't be making the comments that you're making in this lecture like that. And it's what you were teaching people. So I'm like, for somebody who like, unless you had a drastic change and started practicing in blockchain, which like when you're talking to these students and stuff like that, it doesn't sound like you own any Bitcoin or anything else. Then
no, he just has a bunch of money.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it doesn't
care about Bitcoin.
Yeah. So it's like the wrong person to be doing this stuff, like, or to be pursuing it so harshly. Like, because it just sounds like a greed money grab. You want the money. Texas and other state security regulators have been pursuing Voyager and other cryptocurrency companies for offering similar crypto yield farming products, which they say are unregistered securities that don't disclose their risk to investors. In some cases, these products have turned out to be fraudulent. So as we know, situations like Voyager, where they're calling like Voyager crypto yield farming, like you could consider this yield farming. But one of the things that the media had done in the last few months, which was like a total no-no, which they tried to cover projects like Voyager as DeFi projects. And like, no, that's like as centralized as it gets. Like it's literally as centralized as it gets with the application. And like it was super centralized. Then they would take that money and they would try to utilize DeFi strategies. Like they would go out there and they would find actual DeFi protocols like Aave, like MakerDAO, like Curve, like all these things that we talked about earlier, like Lido. They would find these and some that are riskier, and they would employ people's money into those. So they would use DeFi, yes, but they are not technically DeFi themselves. They were a centralized entity that was utilizing DeFi strategies, not DeFi. And so yeah, that's just like, they're not saying that in this article. They're saying yield farming, so it's that much more correct. But I just want to point that out because like whenever I see that, I'm like, that really rubs me the wrong way. Where I'm like, you got like, please, like, do better, because it didn't. And yeah, thank you, Watch Guru, where he's a little bit more crypto and like the act. But if this was like a Bloomberg article, they'd buy company Voyager. I'm like, y'all shut up. Like, literally, just shut up. Like, oh goodness. But yeah, that's a little bit of the Sam Bankman-Fried news today. The other portion of the Sam Bankman stuff is, I might have to find a specific tweet related to that.
Because I forgot exactly what it was too, to be honest with you. Because this news just came out recently. Yeah,
it was more so to do with the regulation on cryptocurrencies. So we just spoke a little bit about regulation, the SEC and whatnot. But the other Sam Bankman-Fried news was that his opinions toward regulation, where he did this thread. He wrote this, so we could actually just go to Sam's like Twitter really quickly and like see people's comments, I'm sure. But he had some opinions recently about, oh my God, my keyboard works. I'm gonna order it tonight.
I hope so, man.
Bruh, I'm over here holding the wire up. Sam Bank. Oh, how does that not make it come in? Sam Bankman-Fried, here we go. But yeah, he had some opinions that were a little non-blockchain friendly. His opinion toward all this blockchain stuff was it wasn't very DeFi of you, Sam, is what I was saying. It was like, yeah, let the regulators get their way type of feeling. And was it like, I forget, like his stance on Uniswap would basically like make like Uniswap illegal. Was like talking about like taking down and like dismantling like MakerDAO and the DAI token and stuff like that. I'm like, it's just like weird. It was a little weird. Where I'm like, nah, bro. Because like, yeah, on one side of things, on one side of things, you can think, oh, it's for like protecting, clients or whatever the heck. But on the other side of things, it's like, it's considered DeFi and blockchain and stuff like, because it's not supposed to be underneath one general authority. It's not to control it. The people control it, and the people across the globe, this global community, controls it. To put the regulation of it under some of the guidance that he was talking about takes that entirely away and makes it totally centralized and regulated in a very negative way. To generalize what was said here, let me find his actual Twitter's thread up. How can I type in Sam Bankman-Fried and they not just give me his dang profile?
I think it's SBF, isn't it, on Twitter?
SBF? That's his name on Twitter? Because I just typed in his name. I'm like, bro, might be. I'm like following on this other account. Yeah, SBF FTX. Here we go. Let's see if we can find this thread. Now, the thread itself probably is we find some of the people's opinions to this thing. And yeah, again, in the spirit of the show, do your own research on this. Read into this. Find out why people are so unhappy with this. It's not going to be from 45 minutes or an hour ago. Even sure maybe some of this. Keeping DeFi and peer-to-peer transfers free is crucial. Okay, that's not exactly. Like that sounds like almost backward pedal type thing. As promised, my current thoughts on crypto regulation. I think this is really what tore people up recently, if that's the right thread. Yes, this one. At a high level, we need regular oversight and customer protection, and we need to ensure an open, free economy where peer-to-peer transfers, code validators, etc., are presumably free. We should establish regulation, and until the standards then ensure A/B. First, it means that we have a list, not allow list for illicit financial activity. We need fast, reliable list of addresses associated with illicit finance. But peer-to-peer transfers should generally be free as long as they are not going to sanctioned actors. This can simultaneously enforce sanctions compliance effective while make sure we don't need passport and social security number to buy a bagel from 7-Eleven. Second, we need something to reduce the impact of security breaches. This is a long ass thread, so I'm not going to read through the whole thread. But this is due. Regulation. But this is our last chance for a better quality of life for our children. Crypto Windy. Oh, yep, doing blah 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 blah. Okay. So this is part of like when we start to get into people's actual opinions. So, Sam, with respect, this absolutely sucks. You're saying DeFi should be OFAC'd. I don't know what that acronym stands for. So somebody more financial literate tell me, or I could Satoshi Google it. You're saying on-chain freezes should be normal. You're saying DeFi front ends to register as a broker dealer. No, this is not reasonable. This would eliminate the U.S. from crypto race. And why is he saying this will eliminate the United States from the crypto race? It's kind of like the reason why it's already doing so. Like we just have like too many regulations in place for some of these things. Where like for some, it's like if you were early to crypto in DeFi summer and you wanted to use Avagachi, you wanted to buy an Avagachi. An NFT is like one of the first like DeFi related NFTs and stuff like that. You couldn't. You had to not be from America. And oftentimes in crypto for new products, you can't do anything with it if you're from America. And it's because of this level of like regulations where it's either unclear. And so like, I don't know, I'm standing on both sides of this thing where it's like, yeah, we need some type of regulation on these things, like clear regulation. That's what I would say. Clear regulation, good. Over-regulation, bad. But some type of regulation so that it's not just gray area and then they're just coming at people with lawsuits all the time. Well, actually, we just didn't really like that actually. And so we're going to send a lawsuit at you, which is what they're doing more so than not. And that's just not cool. But that's where I sit on that side of things. I can feel for this guy. What's the right answer? Don't know. But at the same time, I'm not surprised that Sam is, whistling a tune of regulation when being investigated at the current time. And I believe his parents are like, what the heck are they? They're like there's something to do with what is his parents? It's like the protection of assets or something like that. Like I'd have to look that up to get the specific terms. But yeah, it's like it's a good family to understand financial. financials and everything like that. But yeah, I'm also not surprised that somebody who's being currently investigated by the SEC is saying, yeah, regulations would be good. So, like, would you? Yeah, I don't think so. Any closing comments on that? Or are you looking for something?
Okay, so that's what they didn't like the OFAC sanction list that he's basically saying. So I went to that FTX policy. I'm trying to find exactly what people were like upset about, but yeah, it's a longer read than I have for right now. But it looks like that OFAC allow list with the sanction list that had all the Tornado Cash wallets on it. He thinks that we should basically just go along with whatever OFAC deems sanctioned, which is very dangerous. Yeah. I'm gonna have to read this and see. Maybe follow up next week. But I think with the regulation stuff, I think it's inevitable, and I'm not sure how that's gonna look, but I definitely think that we need more decentralized exchanges than centralized exchanges. I feel like eventually all these banks are gonna have decentralized exchanges somehow. When it's all said and done, like if they think they're gonna bring their CBDC, they're gonna have to have it's gonna have to be on the Ethereum blockchain, and we're gonna have to be able to get that bitch on Uniswap somehow.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where all this plays out. Yeah. I'm very interested. I think Sam Bankman-Fried is a brilliant guy. And again, I am a proponent of some level of regulation because them just coming at people with, oh, actually, we didn't come up with any clear regulation. Because if you don't come up with clear regulation for or against something, and then you try to hand somebody a lawsuit and say that you broke the law, that's corrupt. That's like there's no laws of jaywalking in this city, and then you're arresting somebody for jaywalking. Like that's extra corrupt, bro. But that's what they're doing right now in the cryptocurrency space. They've been doing that for years. And it's like, well, why didn't you say there's no jaywalking? Well, because we couldn't really figure it out whether or not we wanted there to be jaywalking or not. But you did it, and so arrest. Like, and that's really how they kind of handle the case right now, and it's extra corrupt. But these are the things we have to deal with. To wrap us up, we'll go through there's 3 articles here. So going to join Paxos. Cool. Just some general topics, some hot topics in the crypto space lately. MasterCard joins with Paxos to help banks offer crypto trading. Totally didn't see it coming. No, everybody's jumping on the crypto bandwagon, guys. So you can read through this, but that's really just it. There's not a whole lot to this. It's like MasterCard is helping with the crypto thing, and so it's just going to keep spreading to everything else. And guess what? It's all happening during a bear market. So guess what? Next bull market. This is the other thing. It's next bull market for everybody who's like ducked out of crypto and they got wrecked from whatever the heck, and they just haven't been paying attention. They're going to be like, oh wow, and it's going to be. Honestly, when I think about it, there's going to be that many more people that get wrecked next time around. Because it's going to be that much easier for them to get into the market, and they still have no idea what they're doing. So that's going to happen. Next article: U.S. sanctions on Chinese semiconductors decapitate industry experts say. I think this is actually a Satoshi article. You gonna enlighten us a little bit here?
Oh yeah. So the U.S. has been doing a lot of stuff regarding the semiconductors and them chip processing plants. So what they did was they told a lot of the people who are making the chips in China, they have like dual citizenship. So they told them that if you want to keep your American citizenship, then you can't work at these chip factories anymore. So There's
Wow.
some weird stuff going on with that and our relationship with Taiwan, because Taiwan makes a bunch of semiconductors, and you know they're like the top producer of semiconductors and chips. So we're like giving them weapons and shit, like, and basically, like, it's weird because China imports, like, China pays more money to import semiconductors than they do to import like gas and oil, which is interesting to me. So this was just something that, you know, was kind of interesting, that something that doesn't is, yeah, you wouldn't think directly affects cryptocurrency, but I mean, you got to have a microchip to be able to
Yeah,
be able to use
it's like
your phone or whatever.
factors into the macro of things.
Yeah, like, this is the big picture. So I just think this adds on to what's going on in China as well, with how their economy is starting to implode. So it's just like we're laying on sanctions. Like, so they said that this sanction is like one of the worst things that will ever happen to their economy.
Dang. Yeah, mass resignations of U.S. staffs are paralyzing Chinese chip industry. Interesting. Moving on to some more macro. Bank of Canada reveals 13% of Canadian citizens own Bitcoin. How is that macro? I mean, macro is anything that's like larger scale, encompassing. It's not like one individual company-based thing or something like that. This is talking about the Canadian people, and the 13% of them apparently own Bitcoin, which is a pretty large number. I don't know what it is in the United States, but I don't think it's 13%. I don't know. They also don't have as big as a population as the United States. I'm pretty sure they're like that. Like, it's a lot less people and a few pockets. But you know, somebody out there who's really upset by those comments, feel free to write in the comments and prove me wrong.
Yeah, this story was pretty interesting. How many, like, that's over 10% of people. I heard something really interesting that I don't want to butcher, but I heard that kind of how adoption works is that, like, however much time it takes to get to 10% adoption, you double that and you get to like 80 to 90% adoption, and that's what they consider full adoption. So I think that the first 10 years of Bitcoin, the first 10 or 12 years of Bitcoin, Bitcoin was made in 2009, I think we hit 10% in like maybe 2018 or 19, or maybe a little bit after that. So I think it's pretty interesting that we could see a huge boom in adoption over the next 5 years.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, up over 5% in the last 2 years. If this in this 2-year period from 2018 to 20, we saw 5% from Canadians, and then now it's up to 13%. So it's like 8% in the last 2 years. Then
that's crazy.
It's pretty big. It's pretty big, guys. Yeah. And then our last one article of the day.
Yeah, in 10 years, they would be at what? Like, if you took 8% times 10, that'd be 80% right there. So
it's coming.
I don't know.
The wave is coming. And then this is just a little bit of fun news, like fun. I don't know. If this is the thing that I have with this article. This is Satoshi. Thank you for the source. But it says Federal Reserve posts first operating loss in years. So it's not to say that they don't post this, but years. Read through this, find out when the last time they posted another loss was. But this is my takeaway from this: is if if the United States Federal Reserve is posting a loss, in Federal Reserve is our central bank for the United States. Other countries have their own central banks, and if the biggest central bank in the world, the Federal Reserve, is posting a loss, the leaders of everything, then how do you think the other central banks are doing, guys? Probably posting a loss.
Not great.
Yeah, probably not as good as the leaders.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
Probably not as good as the leaders. Let me see, like, with the quick reading. While the central bank cannot go bankrupt, Going into red is icing on the cake. Been a rough year for the Federal Reserve. It's still battling inflation, with multiple financial expert organizations worldwide criticizing the Fed for raising interest rates to combat inflation, which is what you do, honestly, when you print out a bunch of money. more money ever in history. 80% of all like United States dollars. It was like an insane amount of money that we printed out over the course of the pandemic that people were not paying attention to until like this year. And it was like, really, guys? Really? You just now, it's like, goodness. And the funny thing is not only that, but like people just like this year, because of the inflation, like finally started like people weren't getting like, oh, well, where are all these checks coming from and stuff. And so I think the funny thing is that a lot of people this year were starting to be like, well, inflation is Biden's fault that we have any inflation. I'm like, guys, inflation has been happening for a long time. Like it's been getting worse. But your purchasing power has been going down. Like that's kind of how it works. That's why the rich invest in assets, is because the rich a long time ago figured out that your purchasing power continuously goes down. It's nothing new. I like to bring up this point. I got in an argument with a girl on Twitter, which I wasn't trying to make an argument, but this influencer in Halo, this woman, she was like, can somebody explain to me why my milk costs this much money? Like, seriously, I'm just asking, from somebody who knows more than I know about stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's because inflation and your purchasing power is being eroded. And that's kind of how the dollar works. Like, they print out more and more dollars over time. Your purchasing power goes down as we print out more and more dollars over time. And some woman came in there and she's like, that's not true. It's because of this and that, blah, 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 blah. And like I showed her a chart of like the purchasing power, and she's like, see, this year it said there was 2% inflation. And then that year it said there was 1.5% inflation. And this year it was, and I was like, yeah, so then your purchasing power is going down. And she's like, well, some of those years it's barely anything. And this is the thing that I feel like people like, she definitely didn't get this. And eventually she deleted all her tweets. Because I'm like, you're looking for but this is the thing that she wasn't getting, is that while 1 year was like 0.2 per what, best years like 0.2% or something like that, and then 2%, and then 2.5%, and then 1.4%. And she's like, well, look, so if it was 1.4% and coming down from 2.5%, then obviously it's getting better, because it went from 2.5 to 1.4 to 2 to 0.2. And I'm like, this is the thing, all those years stack on top of each other. It's not like oh, it resets to 0 every year. It's like, no, there was 1.2 inflation on that year. And then the next year came, inflation didn't change. There was 1.2. And guess what? Now, from that inflation, we increased by another 2.5%. It compounded. That's called compounding interest. So it just stacks on top of you. It's not getting any better. It's getting that much worse. And so when you're compounding year over year, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 1.5, 1.8, 8.5.
You're losing money.
Like that's a lot.
You're really doing.
That's a lot.
You're going to work, but you're losing
in like
money.
4 or 5 years. It's like, yeah, and she didn't get that. And then like a bit, I imagine that's why she deleted it, because like eventually she like realized, and I was sending her all these charts, and I'm like, you can't read charts. I'm like, why are you like? And she was being like she was like talking down to me. So I'm like, bro, I'm like, you're being kind of mean. I'm literally just trying to educate you. Yeah, I'm like,
bots, bro.
I'm literally just trying to educate you on the situation, because I'm like, I'm showing you charts and you're like trying to call me stupid and all these other names and stuff like that. I'm like, notice how I'm not calling you names, and like, you can't read these charts. Like, you need to learn how to read these. But yeah, eventually she deleted that stuff. So it is that's the level. But yeah, people are finally waking up to that stuff, because wow, the number's so big this year. It's 4 times more than normal. But guess what? Even if 4 times more than normal, but it was still going to be 2 point something is the average, guys. So good that everybody's waking up right now, but I'm sure people fall right back to sleep once it hits back to 2 point something percent. And that's still not good, because that's still every 4 years or so you're losing 10%. Like if you were to hold $1 million and you're losing 10% of that every 4 years, that's not good, guys. That's $100,000 gone every 10 years if you don't do something with it. And that's why the rich invest in assets that appreciate in price, not decrease. So that's like the big thing there. But yeah, a little bit of a tangent from this Federal Reserve thing, but I still think it kind of connects, because they're doing this stuff because of inflation. Not posting their best price, but yeah. That's my last takeaway for today. Any final ones from you, Satoshi?
Nope. Not really.
Nope.
That's it. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap. As Chris Crock, it's loose bacon strips. It's a wrap. I really like that term. You got loose bacon strips. It's a wrap. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us today. It's been Trustless Degens, episode 9. I really hope it's episode 9, and I haven't just been saying that. But we'll correct it post show. Where we talk about all things blockchain, Web3, insert buzzword here. So yeah, see you back at this time next week. We out. Goodbye. Bye. Goodbye.